I'm sorry, can I ask a question? Did Joe Biden have staff at the White House? And how many of those staff members were elected?
Well, but Scott, Elon
zero.
Musk
The answer is zero. Every president appoints people to do things for them. To call him unelected is like the most naive and ridiculous talking point I've ever heard.
Scott, I can't believe you would believe something like this, because if this was Joe Biden allowing for a billionaire,
allowing people who weren't elected to run the country for the last 4 years, yeah, I would believe that, actually.
Throwing another coup like January 6th.
That's an NPC on CNN malfunctioning and sputtering anti-Trump buzzwords to distract from the fact that everything liberals have been attacking President Trump about since he took office, his predecessor exhibited in spades. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like projection is the name of the game once again for the political hacks on establishment media. First, they tried telling us that Trump voters had buyer's remorse, something they clearly experienced after Biden took office. Now they're trying to say that unelected officials are really the ones making decisions for President Trump. Here's Republican Scott Jennings calling out the Elon Musk and DOGE hysteria for what it really is.
So, Scott, is the Trump administration at risk of overstepping with these efforts?
Well, I don't think they're at risk of overstepping with the American people. I think part of the election result was the American people actually asking for a sledgehammer to the federal government. I mean, trust in government was low, dissatisfaction with the government was low, dissatisfaction with the previous administration was low, and dissatisfaction was high with politicians who for years have said, I'm going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and never seem to do it. So I like Representative Maliatokas, but with all due respect, I don't think the voters are wanting a scalpel. I do think they're wanting larger implements like a sledgehammer or a chainsaw.
I think that's no longer true. I think that's no longer true, Scott. Honestly, you're seeing the polling, and you're seeing how unpopular.
And Donald Trump has a better than 50% approval rating. I have seen the polling.
And you see how unpopular Elon Musk is, how unpopular DOGE is, and beyond that, there is a real concern about the kinds of
You know what I love about you, Lulu, is that you get to say what you want to say, and then you got to say what you think I ought to say. Why don't you just let me finish my point here? The point, Wolf, is this. The American people asked for a different direction, and what they did not ask for was a continuation of the status quo. What I think Musk and his efforts represent is a complete deviation from what most people would say has been the status quo when it comes to a government that seems to always get bigger, and we never really go in and root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, are they going to make some mistakes? Sure. Are they going to have to recover those mistakes? They've already done that, and they admitted it when they've done it. But I think overall they have a lot of political leash because the American people were so dissatisfied with the way government was being run before. So I think the politics of this is still a net positive for Trump. But how can you say they admitted
it?
You know, this whole notion that Trump voters were only concerned with the price of groceries and are horrified by the mass deportations and attacks on the administrative state is really hilarious to me, because every single time they trot it out, the only comments I see are people saying this is exactly what we voted for. And personally, I would pay $1,000 for eggs if we could finally drain the swamp, end DEI's divisive reign of terror, and get immigration under control. But of course, none of that matters to the professional gaslighters at CNN. Here's what appears to be a makeupless version of the clown from It, attempting to get viewers to panic about President Trump finding fraud in the government.
This was broadcast live, for one thing. Normally these are taped and then shown later, but I think the Trump White House knows they're going to get more attention when these events are live, and they're longer as well. This is in line with Trump knowing that he doesn't just have to be president, he has to perform the presidency and have the appearance of action, the appearance of doing something at all times. It's also striking to me how he's trying to rewrite the dictionary again. You know, he did this with the word hoax, for example, years ago, trying to redefine the word hoax to mean a true story that he doesn't like. Well, the new word that's being targeted is the word fraud. When they talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, he's trying to redefine fraud as spending he doesn't like, right? Spending that he and Musk don't agree with or don't approve of, and that's the kind of spending they're targeting. It's not fraud in the criminal definition of the term, but it's spending they don't like. And it's interesting how both Trump and Musk keep going back to those kinds of words.
You know, it's hilarious how liberals have changed the definition of things for decades and routinely use absurd language like reproductive health care and birthing person, but then panic when the president wants to do something like this or change the name of the Gulf of Mexico when it in fact shares equal coastline between the two countries. Stelter is trying to accuse Trump of changing the definition of the word fraud, but the current fraud rate of the federal government is 20%. 20%, which is absurd when you compare that to the private sector, which is 3%. At the end of the day, the people complaining about all of this seem to want to extend every single grace they can to the government in terms of waste, fraud, and corruption, but would never do so for businesses in the private sector or individuals like you and I. But let me know what you think. Do you or anyone you know have buyer's remorse over voting for Trump? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye!